Hello and welcome to another episode of Within Crisis. This week we are talking Pokémon with returning guest Smatt and as always Ash. So this show has been a little while in the works, hasn't it? Just scheduling has stopped us more than anything else.
And from the fact that I think we want to do it close to the date.
Yeah, closer to release of the new stuff. So how are you, gentlemen?
Days?
Yeah, I am
You first.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
I let Matt go in.
No, I'm good. 15 days to go until the big day. I've been trying to build up some extra hours at work so I can have time off. A tiny bit excited, but yeah, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Just remind that we work together so I could tell when you're Skyving.
No, that's
Tell
the
when you're
truth.
playing Pokemon. I'll just switch on the Switch and then I'll see like, oh, someone's online. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, let's not. But yeah, no
Not getting
Pokemon
your
during
friends
work
into
hours.
trouble. Come on now.
No, I would not do that.
So Ash,
yeah,
how are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. It's been one of those trying to avoid buying games. Obviously, not until Pokemon obviously comes out. I've had that pre-ordered, but it's been a whittled down for the backlog type games. Obviously, Xenoblade I completed quite recently, and what was it? I did as well. Arceus, finished Arceus, and Cosmic Star Heroine. That was a very good game. I did enjoy that, and I'm now currently playing Live Alive.
Or live and live. However anyone says that.
And I can see Rusty is just sad up there.
How about you, Matt? Been playing much on your streams?
On streams, yeah, I suppose. So the most recent kind of adventure has been Luigi's Mansion, and then we had a special Halloween. Oh, I did some Dark Souls actually recently as well. That was an experience, to say the least. But we actually played through for the first time. I somehow hadn't been spoilt for me since 2015.
Somehow.
Played through Until Dawn.
Oh, nice.
Managed to kill more than half the people by accident, but yeah, it was a time, dude. Had a real fun time, and then off stream I've been enjoying a lot of Overwatch 2 despite the kind of monetization issues, which don't really seem apparent if you're not a pay to play kind of person. And then I've also been playing Persona 5 Royale, which has been
Ooh, yes.
yeah, man. I just finished the first dungeon. I'm not going to say more than that because spoilers and whatnot for people.
This is your first experience of a Persona game, am I right?
Yes and no. So my wife Beth, to bring her up again after the last podcast, but she actually played through Persona 5, not Royale. It was a while ago. Yeah, it was a while ago, and it didn't seem like my kind of game. But the one thing about it that really drew me was the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
That coming from the other side of the living room just has so many earworms. And then, yeah, I saw it was on Games Pass, and was just like, you know what? Yeah, go on. And it's been an adventure, and I've been getting into. I've got a new friend into Final Fantasy 14, and been doing some of that as well recently. I've just started the Stormblood expansion. So yeah, busy bee. Not much time for Pokemon, but I'm all up to date on Pokemon as well. So
it helps. It's like quick back catalogue, get through everything, ready for the new Pokemon.
Yeah. I think last time we spoke, actually, on the last time I was here, it was just around the time I was playing Sword and Shield. Funnily enough.
Yeah.
I
was just getting into the DLC, if I remember.
Yeah, that's right. So I actually finished the first DLC, the Isle of Armor, I think it was. I didn't get to the Crown Tundra or whatever it's called in the end. But I know kind of what the end game of that is, and that's all been kind of revealed. I got to the point it was kind of just like, yeah, I've had my fun at the moment. I'm good. I'll come back to this. You know, it was a nice 50 or so hour adventure. You know, so I had a good time with it. I had a real good time with it.
Excellent. So let's get into the topic of the show, which is Pokemon. How did you two actually get into Pokemon? Was it the show first, the games?
For me, it was a very narrow margin between the games and the show. All I can remember is that you remember in primary school, all the kids in the playground kind of go through a phase, and it was so strange because I remember everyone in school went through a yo-yo phase. Everyone had yo-yos for some reason. They were doing all these little tricks, walk the dog, whatnot. And then one day, usually you had the kids that had like well-off parents. They were able to get the games as soon as they come out. But then it just kind of blew up. It was like wildfire that everyone had a Game Boy and everyone was playing Pokemon. Unfortunately, I was one of those less fortunate children. Pity me. That I wasn't. Well, I didn't get the game. However, my cousin JD, she was a little bit younger than me at the time. My uncle had bought her Pokemon Yellow, and that one had just come out as well because obviously we had Red and Blue. And I kind of said like she didn't know really how to play it, so I was like I had played it from other people's games like when I was in school, and I kind of knew what to do, and I asked if I could borrow it off her, and I pretty much just ended up owning it because she had forgotten about it. God, I think she ended up back with it eventually, but it was after about a year or two. Yeah, it was that, and then it was the anime. But I say the anime, but not really, isn't it? I guess.
Japanese cartoon anime.
Yeah, but then I can still remember that very first episode, and you've seen that big flying bird, which at that point we were like, "What is that bird?" I've played this entire game, being Pokemon Yellow, and I have not seen said bird. And then, of course, knowing that the anime was obviously around the time Gold and Silver were out in Japan, so we were obviously getting spoiled, and we were seeing Pokemon that actually didn't exist in the games that we were playing at the time. So yeah, that was probably my first experience of it.
How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's probably important to note that I think I'm a couple of years younger than you guys. I think,
Yeah.
so it was actually kind of interesting for me because I know you asked whether it was the games or anime, but actually it was neither for me. So what actually got me into Pokemon was the trading card game.
That counts as games.
Which
Does it though? And it was it wasn't just
What-
the trading card game, like Pokemon Mania.
Which
Hmm?
cards were they? Like
was
the
the
second edition?
It was the
original?
first edition base set, and then I remember I think it was either the jungle or the fossil set as well. But either way, I remember them very clearly, and it was mania. It can only be described as mania. What happened in schools across the country at that time, and I spent forever just trading dupes with people. Anytime that like my nan would go to the newsagents to pick up a packet of cigarettes or whatever, it'd just be like, "Oh my god, nan! Like there's more Pokemon cards. I haven't picked up these ones," and it's like they're exactly the same as the last ones. I was like, "No, you don't understand. Like inside, nan, you know." So then she was like, she realized quite quickly that they're collectibles as well. And actually, to be fair, my mum and my nan were both extremely supportive of kind of like, "Oh, this is a nice little thing," you know. And that actually then didn't extend onto the video game to begin with. That then extended on to sticker collections, funnily enough.
I was
And do
gonna
you
bring
remember
that
these?
up.
Yeah, do you remember the little discs you could collect
Oh,
as
the
well?
pog things,
I
yeah.
remember the
Oh yeah, dude. So it was
Pokemon
quite
hit you
interesting.
every which way when we
Yeah.
were kids.
It was all around me, and I remember being about 5 or 6 and just being hype as hell. And then I watched the anime as well. And I remember that first. I missed the first episode, but I remember my first one was Caterpie evolving into Butterfree, and then it was sorry, Metapod evolving into Butterfree. I do apologize. Yeah, but
They said
Yeah.
Digimon.
but oh, dude, Digimon's a different topic, by the way. But like you know, then I once again came in quite late. It was Christmas. I was I think 7 years old, and I'd been eyeing it up in Toys R Us for a while because I'd had my N64 already by this point, and I got a copy. I believe it was Pokemon Blue. And Pokemon Red, because they didn't realize they were the same game with version exclusives for Christmas with a purple Game Boy Color, and I played that and I was, well, for listeners, you can't see the Pikachu hat, but like the whole of my like kind of Twitch persona is based around, oh, my Pikachu hat's the boss fight hat, and I'm Pokemon mad even now at 29 years old. I've never grown out of it.
Instead of getting your hat and turning it to the back, you just put it on.
Exactly, my dude, exactly. And it I fell in love with Pokemon very strongly from Red and Blue. I remember them being, I think I could safely say they're my first RPGs as well. It evolved it evolved into trading cards even more. So I ended up playing a trading card game. I got a copy of the Pokemon trading card game, GBC game. Sorry. Yeah. So I hope that covers it. I'm just Pokemon mad. This is ranty kind of zone. So I'm going to stop before I go down a hole.
Yeah. So for myself, I started out with Pokemon Blue. My parents randomly bought me a Game Boy Color for Christmas. Not something I asked for. I was at the point in my life where I didn't really ask for Christmas. They just got me stuff. You play games, we'll buy you whatever's popular. So yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to point out that the only one out of the three of us that actually was aware of the games, wanted the game, was the one that had to steal it from their cousin.
Yeah.
You two just randomly had it dropped in your lap. Oh, how some live.
Yeah. So started with Blue. It also got pinched when I was in school, which was fun. But yeah, it was around the time that I think ITV, Channel 3 in the UK, started playing Pokemon on a Saturday morning, so I started watching it. Like, this.
I was like one of only 5 channels, was it?
Yeah, back then. Yeah, got into that, and up here where I'm from, they wasn't selling the cards at the time, but they were selling the stickers. So there were a bunch of us just like, have you got this? Have you got that? Have you got that? Have you got this? And doing trades. Then I didn't realize the card game was a thing until there was a boy a couple of years older up in selling cards at the end of the lunch break all the time. £1 for a shiny, 10p for commons, and yeah, it just spiraled from there. I played all of the main series up until Black and White, had a break until Sun and Moon then.
Yeah.
I've played everything else from there.
Did you remember the marbles? They were
yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Memory unlock.
You had the actual trading cards, we know those, but you had also had the cards which were scenes from the anime and stuff. You had those cards, and then you had the marbles as well. Yeah, I used to love the marbles.
Yeah, the marbles. It's really weird actually. I've had a really weird week of like memory unlocking. So you've just reminded me these marbles exist. And funnily enough, I remember buying a packet of these marbles with some polar bear lemonade, which I completely forgot existed until like the beginning of last week. It's called Cresta. There's a picture of a polar bear on the front, and you've just reminded me of getting them at the same time as these Pokemon marbles from the newsagents. So that was a fun time. Jesus.
Oh man, just like I had the little for when the Pokemon the first movie came out. There was the I had the Mew figure,
the Egyptian Mew.
You had but it was the figure that like if you like smoothed his head, he would essentially obviously you would say Mew. But then there was a Meowth one as well that talked, like you had little talking models. Had the Pokédex as well, the little.
Yeah, I had the Pokédex.
Yeah, I had a couple of Pokédexes. They update. Hear me out. As I said, a couple of years younger, but they rebooted the Pokédex. I think it was Gold and Silver. I had the original one and that one as well. So that was an interesting time. That thing still works, by the way. Like I'm pretty sure my younger sister has it now. I need to get it off her.
Oh, I don't know if I can do a little memory unlock here again. So you had the marbles, however, you had the standard figurines, which were like most. I think you still get them today, but there were the crash ones. So there were the figures with the little ball bearing underneath them. So you would like run them down the table and crash them into each other. I had like the Blastoise.
Yeah,
I guess so.
No, just remember that.
Yeah, I used to remember.
Oh, there were way too many products to just try and instantly remember everything.
There's so much of that stuff in the 90s, and you know what? Like, it
And
was real good. You just don't have that simple leisure anymore,
it's
quite frankly.
it's funny because my nephew Corey, he's 17 now, and just did a massive sort out of his room, and some of the toys he came out, and they were the old Pokemon toys that I had given him. So obviously these have kind of like I'm fresh in my head right now. I can remember them because I've just seen them quite recently. But oh yeah, proper blast from the past.
Yeah, just a bit. So, all three of us had this discussion without immediately discussing it with each other, but moments that stand out from the games, and we all went to the meme of Whitney's mill tank. As a random conversation, they get brought up to each other. It just mentioned word mill tank, and it was memes instantly. I think that had to be the first fight between the first two generations that stumped me.
So like,
And
you
I
never
had to
like
purposely over level. The rest of the time, I was like, yeah, my Charizard, I leveled up a bit. I can kill water types. Cool, excellent.
if you're all I can remember, like I know now that I just from like because I'm trying to complete the Pokédex while playing throughout the game. If I play any Pokemon game now, that I always have a tendency to overlevel anyway and just spank anything that's in front of me. But like when I played the first generation game, I had no trouble with any of the gyms until Fuchsia City
Yeah.
with Cougar. No, what was his name? Cougar, and it was
Okay.
used. Yeah, Cougar, and he used Venomoth. And up to that point, I was all for the just attack, lower the HP, marvelous. But then when it came to like all status effects and all that, especially toxic, like the really nasty type of poison
Oh,
effect,
dude.
yeah, I kind of got a bit of I got spanked on that gym, but like it's easy to go, okay, yeah, I need to level up a bit at this point now. But that battle with Milk Tank, that's just brutal. It's just so punishing. It's just like right, not even like what is it? Second, is it second gym or third?
It's the second gym, I think. It might be.
Second. That's
Like,
right.
Flying was the first one, and yeah, Golden City was second.
Think first gen. It's just like, oh, they're all rock. Okay, then use water, and then next one's all water. Use grass or electric. That was just like, yeah, there was normal types, but usually at the start of the game, you don't really have a fighting type ish Pokemon.
And it's weird to go up
Mewtwo,
against a normal
perhaps?
type in a gym environment. It's like, there's
Yeah,
normal types. Why
and-
would any Elite Four or Gym Leader care?
Not just any old fighting type. It's a Pokemon that has like a stupidly high defense stat and also really, really hurts. It's like a fucking brick wall when using rollout. It was just so brutal for
I
second
think
gym.
anyone who plays Gold and Silver, whether it was the initial release or Heart Gold, Soul Silver, that mill tank gives you nightmares. I think I remember that gym more than any other gym across the entire span of Pokemon, just because of the one fucking cow that rolls around.
Yeah, it was weird. It was a couple of days ago, and I had two separate friends. They don't interact. You know, they're from separate ends of the country. Send me Miltank memes on the same day. I don't know why that particular day was just Miltank Day. I think it was a couple of days ago anyway. And legitimately, it's like one of them was just like, ever wondered why? Oh yeah, why do you have a fear of cows so much? And it's like just a picture of Miltank using rollout, and it's like perfection. And then I got sent this, like, I think I put it in this chat that we have for the podcast. Like,
Yeah,
I just
we
got
did
another
post it on
flow chart
the
of just like rollout. Did it hit? No, but yes, it did. You know, like
Yeah,
like
it's you
legitimately.
psychologically, if not physically.
It was a miserable time for sure. You've actually got me looking very quickly at copies of like Soul Silver and stuff because Gen 2 being one of my favorite gens, it's actually the one that I've replayed least because reasons, I
That's
suppose.
surprising.
It is. We'll cover that off later, I suppose. But legitimately, I think for me, the the first fight that really sticks with me, the first Pokemon that I remember just thinking a colossal, quite frankly, fuck you to, was Lance's Dragonite.
Oh, that Dragonite was
that
brutal as well.
Absolute. You're Honestly, dude, there's like little 7-year-old me there, just like getting tilted. You have no idea. Like the batteries died several times while just attempting to clear the Elite
I
Four.
think all of
Like,
us who were kids at that point had that.
yeah, but Miltank hit different. I think purely because of the fact that you're in the second gym, and you're just like, oh, whatever, it's gonna be fine. And then suddenly this quite innocent pink, cute-looking cow comes out, and you're like, ha, I got you though, And then it's like,
yeah, it just
Call
rolls
an
up.
ambulance! Call
Whoa,
an
whoa,
ambulance!
motherfucker.
Surprise, motherfucker! Kid. Surprise, motherfucker!
you know the call an ambulance meme. It's like, but not for me. Like,
Yeah,
so
oh, it
You could
is.
have Photoshop no tank into that meme.
legit, dude. Oh, it was. Oh, I hate that Mill Tank. Anyway, like, I can't believe we had a whole section on Mill Tank, but like, it's definitely deserved. Like,
Like I said,
Pokemon's very.
this section is about what stands out, and Miltank,
Yeah,
all these years later,
I-
stands out.
I got something that stands out for me, and it was because you think this was pre-internet, back in the day, and it was like playground rumors you hear of like how to catch Mew, the elusive Mews. Like so, we obviously found out it was cheat cartridge. So going back to Generation 1, and we knew the whole missing though thing. If obviously you went to Cinnabar Island, and actually no, you had to speak to that person who showed you how to catch a Pokemon first in Viridian City, and so I remember all that. But then I remember someone saying to me, if when you're in this is testing Vermilion City, which is Lieutenant Surge.
Yeah.
So that's when you get the cut ability if you go on the SS Anne. And apparently, a mate of mine traded me a Pokemon with the cut ability, so I didn't have to go on the SSN. So I skipped all that, got the so obviously fought Lieutenant Surge, got the ability to use cut, was able to carry on the game because there was this rumor that if you came back to that place, because that little section when you board the SSN, there's a little spit of water. But obviously at that time you don't have surf. And if you go on SSN and you complete that part, the boat sails away and you can no longer enter that area of the game. But there was a rumor that was circulating around the school that if you got a Pokemon with cut, you skip the SSN part and you then obviously get surf then further in the game. You come back and you go into and you surf off the side. You enter another an area of the game and there's a vehicle, there's a car. And if you interact with the car, you then end up in the battle with Mew. And it was like, oh, this is bullshit. And I remember doing it and then surfing and going and walking across, and there it is. There's this car, and absolutely oh my fucking god, this is real. And then interacting with the car, and nothing happening, and just the biggest disappointment ever. But that did stick in my mind.
No. It's Gen 1 had a lot of these kind of cool things. Like Missing No, I think, is probably one of the most famous gameplay bugs.
Ray Candy cheat and
yeah, and Gen 2 was closely followed by the cloning cheat with the Pokemon Center.
Yeah.
But
it didn't help as well that you could catch over level 100 Pokemon doing the Missing Go trick as well.
Wasn't there one if you fly out the Safari Zone and something? It was a really odd one. I never knew about that one. I only found out about that one years later on YouTube, but I never tried it.
Yeah, it's all different ones out there.
Yeah, I vaguely remember being able to catch a Marvel in the Safari Zone if you follow the certain set of instructions in Gen 1. Marvel obviously being a Gen 2 Pokemon, but because it had been in the anime over here, because I think Marvel came in the Orange Islands, if I'm not mistaken. But everyone was just
did they call it Peekaboo at the time? You know, but
I think so. Yeah,
it was a surfing Pikachu, but then there was that confusion. Obviously, with Pokemon Yellow, there was a surf Pikachu, and
didn't you have to use Pokemon Stadium to unlock Surfing Pikachu?
I think it was. Yeah,
I can't remember. I was unfortunate in the sense of although I obviously got gifted Pokemon Blue and Red, generally speaking, to get new games in my time, I had to trade some of my old stuff. It'd be like, oh, could we get this? It's like, yeah, but you need to go get some of the stuff so we can take it to the shop, and and I ended up replaying a lot of the same games. So I missed out on Pokemon Stadium except at a friend's house.
I never had an N64, and we discussed it last time, so I missed out on those.
So
titles.
sad. So sad. Like, we're talking about memorable moments. Also, before we continue, Whitney was the third gym because we're going to cover it just to cover at a very immemorable moment at the moment. Faulkner was the first gym leader. I'm pretty sure they fought with Pidgeys and stuff. So, you
I
know,
remember it was the
completely.
flying gym, and it was just like,
Yeah, but the most funnily enough, one of my most valuable memories of like Gen 1 in general actually was actually probably Twitch plays Pokemon. Do you guys like
yes.
remember when we actually beat the Elite Four? Like
Yeah.
I literally just had a Google now, you know, we got Lord Helix, Bird Jesus, Battery Jesus, Air Jordan, and all terrain Venomoth, like just it's a good time. I remember everyone on the internet just having a hell of a scream playing Twitch plays Pokemon.
It was madness.
It's just yeah, I think that was the biggest community effort for a video game possibly ever.
Everyone's sending like commands in and actually trying to like
Yeah.
yeah. I remember
Yeah,
that. Like, my God.
absolute
That was chaos.
chaos. Yeah, pure unadulterated chaos. My favorite kind of like event. You know what I mean? And legit, it was such a good time. But yeah, I wanted to just clarify. Whitney was the third gym. I completely forgot about the first gym because Pidgeys
I've
don't belong
completely
in
forgot
gyms.
what the second gym is.
That was the bug. I had a look at the list of the gym leaders just now. It was Bugsy.
Oh,
I thought Bugsy was the first gym, but it's actually in the town with the Slowpoke tail stuff. So, you know, memory unlocked. I'm actually gonna have to go back and replay Gen 2 because I'm actually sat here just having such fond memories trying to think about like this, and I'm just like, man, how have I not replayed Gen 2? And
and
it's
also the fight against Red as well at the end of Gen 2.
yeah,
I gotta
dude.
say, yeah, that if you're saying which game stands out the most for you, then like we've mentioned obviously a few times here with Milk Tank and just Generation 2 in general, from the fact that that game allowed you to go back to the Generation 1 area. And obviously time has changed since, like, because is it Cinema Island had a volcano eruption, and obviously it's no longer the Cinema Island that we remember.
Yeah.
And there was slight changes, well, time change, because obviously I think wasn't gold and silver set a few years in the future, because obviously
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Gary,
It was
Gary's-
3, if I'm not mistaken.
Blue became Cinnabar's gym leader, yeah.
yeah. And then, of course, like after you do the Elite Four, and then when you find, obviously, depending on if you're playing gold or silver, you find red or blue in that cave. And just, my God, you have to be high level to fight that. That was a
That's
hard
Snorlax, man.
It's the
The
Pikachu.
Pikachu was fine. You just took a rock type
Level
and it was
88.
okay.
Level 88, my guy. Like,
Yeah, but
honestly.
the Snorlax had more defense. That was the truck to get through.
Yeah. So even, and I think it's the more the nostalgic factor that's just to point out, yeah, that I am playing gold and silver on this thing here. Well, gold, silver. Sorry, silver was my first one, so I kind of stick to silver. But I did have Soul Silver as well, and I do like the new features that were added to this game. But like, if I go back to it, I play the original. It's the same with like. Go on.
Sorry. I was just
That's
going to say, I disagree on that principle just because I remember Soul Silver being one of the most faithful remakes of any game I've played. It was literally identical.
were
And a lot of people were mad. Other than the Pokewalker, a lot of people were mad, but it was literally the most faithful remake, just with better graphics.
And your Pokemon can follow you. It's like,
If you
this is
look
what we
online-
want.
If you look online, apparently the best remake, I don't know if that's changed since, but the best remake was Fire Red and Leaf Green, which is probably the one I didn't really play, I guess.
So I have hear me out, because this could be a potentially unpopular opinion. I'm not sure. I don't delve into Fire Red and Leaf Green. I thoroughly enjoyed Fire Red and Leaf Green, and it was exactly what you wanted at the time in terms of bringing actual fidelity to sprites from Red and Blue. But there was some islands like Island 1, Island 2, I can't remember what they're called, but there was some side islands which completely I feel like kind of just sucked me out of the game a bit.
On the menu system, every time you load it back in the game, you have to spend 5 minutes going, yeah, shut up, just put me back in the game.
Yeah, like...
Was that Orange Isles? Because that was.
Oh, no, it was just a separate island thing.
It was just... I think it was the separate island was designed to make it so you could catch things from a more national dex kind of way. But for me, I wasn't a fan of that. Whereas Soul Silver and Heart Gold, pardon me, were just I think the perfect remakes for Pokemon games.
I had the copy that came with the little pedometer. Where you
Yeah,
Then
the
it don't have a
Pokemon.
gotchi pedometer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I
So-
kept hold of that because that goes for silly money now, doesn't it?
Yeah, so as I said, I'm literally looking right now to try and get myself a copy of Soul Silver because I've been meaning to get one for a while. I'd sell mine back in uni days when I was a poor student. If you want to get a boxed version with the instruction manual and a Poké Walker, they're currently going for about £170. So not as much as Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, which is a completely different conversation. We've got a disc only version of that somewhere in this house. Last time I checked, it was going for 129, just the disc. But yeah, like Pokemon games hold their value ridiculously. You've got something like Pokemon Alpha Sapphire, which came out for the 3DS a few years ago, currently going for £64.99. It's only been out of production for like 2 years. It is Pokemon just retains value, and Nintendo IP in general, But yeah,
certain ones though, because I know like the Sun and Moons and the Black and Whites, which are, I think, I think I'm with Paul on this one. It was what would the generation before Black and White and Black and White 2? That
X and Y?
was X, was
no,
X and Y?
it was yeah. X and Y was after. So Pokemon gens go red, blue, yellow, gold, silver,
Diamond,
crystal,
Pearl, and
Yeah, Diamond, Pearl, Platinum. Yeah, I played Pearl. Well, we both did, if you remember, Paul. This was our time in college because we were still playing it then. So we were Diamond and Pearl, and yeah, I rented. I think I had Love Film at the time.
game rented, yeah.
Yeah, and I rented
Oh, wow.
a copy of Black and White, and I got to like the third gym, and it was something, about it. And then I tried playing Sun. I borrowed it off you, didn't I, Paul? And again, I couldn't get into it. It was just
Sun and Moon at the time, it felt fresh, doing the 4 islands. Then it ended, we're making a Pokemon League. I was like, oh, fuck. I'm fed up of Pokemon Leagues now.
See, I can't complain about spoilers. I just want to clarify before we go ahead. Like through university jobs and a few other things. So Sun and Moon remains the only gen that I haven't completed. So I played I finished the first island, got to the second, and was actually really annoyed that the same Pokemon were on the second island as they were on the first island at the time. And I was just like, okay, where's the diversity here? And I kind of just put it down, and I didn't really go back to it. Not because I didn't intend to, just life got in the way, right? But to this day, I still haven't done it. I've got a copy of Ultra Moon, I think, on my Amazon wishlist. I might pick it up eventually. But I can't pass too much comment. But that did kind of lend itself, and I don't know if it was the same with you guys, if you missed any Pokemon gens along the way. Also, I'd say, actually, I take back my previous statement about Gen 2 being my least replayed. I played Pokemon White once. Legitimately once. So I lost a lot of memory of that gen. But the wonderful thing about Pokemon is, if you then come into the series at a later date, like I did recently with Sword and Shield, had to skip that at the time for reasons and just replayed it now. Not only do you get the current gen's Pokemon, but you're also like, oh my god, like, is that a Mimikyu? What the hell's a Mimikyu? Oh, what's a Rangaroo? Oh my god, like, and you kind of get double surprise. So, it's not the end of the world, right?
I think it was like the Pokemon that were introduced in the generation of Black and White. They were just not memorable. That's what I mean. Like I can't remember. I can't pronounce half the names of them.
I remember some of them. Like, generally speaking, like, I don't know if we have a section for this. I think we'll end up covering it off at some point, though. Like, I think, and this is a very unpopular opinion, especially among younger people and younger Pokemon fans, because generally speaking, your first gen is your favorite gen, right? But I think for me, and hear me out here, Gen 5 was probably my least favorite gen of Pokemon. Don't get me wrong, the one thing that is consistent across Pokemon, as I'm sure we'll all agree, the soundtracks are always a heckin' bop, right? But legitimately, I did not appreciate 5 much at all. I felt like a lot of the designs at the time were kind of uninspired. And that's the hottest of takes, possibly. Like, the thing is with the Pokemon fan base, like, I just want a disclaimer, is the Pokemon fan base is very sensitive. Yes, they're very. You're never going to keep everyone happy, and you're going to upset a lot of people with even the smallest comment. So there's no point trying to get it right. So I'm just going to say it. I think Gen 5 was the weakest gen.
I
The
say
music
it's
was one of the
the only
strongest.
gen I haven't played, and nothing has compelled me to go back to it.
I would recommend.
I gotta say though, I did pick up Brilliant Diamond. It was called Brilliant
Yeah.
Diamond. Obviously, I enjoyed Gen 4 back in the day. But Brilliant Diamond was just, I don't know about it. I just played it and just, I didn't even complete the Pokedex. I just played through it and I was just like,
I got to
Done
the
it.
Elite Four and gave up.
oh, you gave up on it. I did that and I was like, okay, I'm done now. And I just sold it for someone else. Matt's shaking his head like he's got an opinion.
Yeah, we was trying to do the decks as we was going, and it was trying to get a fucking Moonstone. I'm like, I'm done. I will just smash my Switch in half.
Oh,
No,
in that
no.
underground part. Yeah,
No.
that was just.
Are you guys like okay? Like, like hear me out. And this comes back. This comes back to Pokemon fans being offended about anything. You can't please them all. But I'm actually going to step in here once again. This is actually a really unpopular opinion. I very much liked the remakes of Diamond and Pearl.
I like
think
the
they
art
were.
style.
Yeah,
It felt,
soundtrack.
yeah, it felt like good, but I had Pokemon burnout, major Pokemon burnout.
Yeah, it was like a bit of a
It
mix.
felt the exact same game, which
it
it
was-
is. But
It was a burnout, and then I think we were already kind of spoilt by what they could do on the Switch with the likes of Let's Go Pikachu Eevee, and obviously Sword and Shield. So to kind of go back to like I could probably play the original Pearl and Diamond because of the nostalgia factor and playing on an old Game Boy, sorry DS. But yeah, the new ones were just.
I think that's where it might differ though for me because I played the remakes for Pearl and Diamond before Sword and Shield. Realistically, so I didn't have that expectation, and I thought, holy heck! And Gen 4 gets a lot of shit. My wife absolutely hates Gen 4. Like she refuses to even really go back and play it. She just, the Pokemon were boring. The routes were this. It was really repetitive. I've got gripes with it. I've got gripes with the Pokedex from Gen 4. Like, there was only, I think, 3 fire types in the whole game, and to get one was a pain in the ass. And as you said, Moonstones are basically like winning the lottery, right? And then the amount of stones you have to then get from the underground. The underground feature from Gen 4 is phenomenal. Especially if you're playing with friends, it's very overlooked. Gen 4 was probably my life during kind of high school. I've just seen someone in the chat say it was their life during college.
to
Age
be
gaps,
fair,
am I right?
original Gen
Like-
4 having the secret hideout so you could just decorate, that was cool.
Yes.
That was
Secret
cool, but
hideouts.
the way that they reworked it for the remake, it just didn't feel right. Fair enough, it was cool. You could catch Pokemon that weren't part of the normal decks, higher chance for shinies, that kind of stuff. Yeah, cool. But it just felt like it was just slapped on to add playtime for no reason.
I did make a mistake here. So that's obviously I had played Diamond and Pearl and Platinum, but then Black and White, and then Black and White 2, I kind of skipped that. Though, well, technically Generation 5 and 5.1, if you want to call it that. But then, of course, Generation 6, we played the crap out of X and Y.
Yeah,
Paul, we were
we did.
really filling the Pokedex up.
X and Y.
And then X and Y were fantastic. I loved those games. And then Sun and Moon, and I just became bloody interested in those again.
Sun and Moon, I did play through both variants. I had Moon, then I played Ultra Sun. And I enjoyed the story. Ultra Sun had some cool little gimmicks attached to it, expanded the story a bit so it actually felt a little bit like an upgrade compared to the normal version.
Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon were what Moon and Sun were originally meant to be.
Yeah.
I read it somewhere. Don't quote me.
You can tell
because-
they get rushed out the door sometimes.
Yeah, that was the case. Like, as I said, don't quote me on it, but they had more things they wanted to do for that gen, and they just didn't have time. So they part the product as it was. All the stuff that you now then see in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon was meant to be it was intended to be in the base game. There's some cheek of Nintendo there, really, to be honest, putting that out as a whole new game.
Game companies do it.
There's
I think that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and that should have been.
The thing is, as a Persona fan, we'll have Persona 6 eventually. Then we know, give it a year or two, we're going to have Persona 6. X,
Yeah,
and it'll
Persona-
have extra stuff.
the
It's
extra
certain companies you
content-
just expect it from.
the extra content of Royale is pretty much its own game.
Yeah, it was an extra 40, 50 hours. on top.
Huge DLC. Where, like you said, the stuff that came with Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon were what was supposed to be in the base game. So it wasn't like they really expanded on the story as such. It was just something that was missed out, and they just tried to cash in on it and just do the Ultra version. So yeah, I'm kind of glad I skipped that, Jen.
Yeah, that was me begging, like, just like Persona spoilers potentially, and
No.
holy heck, like,
But let's get into like playtime thing.
no,
To
like,
be
I
fair,
was just like,
for
here
someone
we
that
come.
is so long, we could mention Cemetery, you will completely forget because it's so much more story.
Yeah, I've heard it's like 102 hours. Like,
Do you say you're currently playing Xenoblade 2?
I'm halfway through Xenoblade 2. Yeah,
Right, now that DLC, that actually was sold as an independent game. Like, very expensive though, isn't it?
it was 30 hours of content. And also, I believe it was served as a prequel to 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
The DLC. So
does
things like that are okay.
Yeah,
I'm right with that.
Yes, to keep a bit off topic, we do get DLCs that are standalone. Last of Us Left Behind, Assassin's Creed, not Liberation. It
I know
was
the
the
one.
one that was Freedom's Cry from Assassin's Creed 4. We get these standalone DLCs that are literally standalone, so they re-release them separately.
Assassin's Creed. What Assassin's Creed are they churning out this year now?
Lots.
I believe Mirage is the next one up.
I am looking forward to Mirage.
That poor dairy cow has been milked to death.
No. So hear me out. Like this is potentially a future discussion off of your podcast, but people who haven't, I know there's I know there's a couple of people actually. There's a couple of people in chat I know from my stream who haven't played Assassin's Creed. I think Assassin's Creed gets a lot of shit, and I understand the whole milking the cow thing, and every year it comes out with new bugs. Genuinely speaking, start with 2, skip 1 because it hasn't aged well. Play a couple of them. You don't have to play all of them, but generally they are always solid, and they do innovate. The next Assassin's Creed is going to be Mirage. They're going back to basics.
Yeah.
It's not an awful series.
Not the main game.
This is a good topic to bring up because you could turn around and say, "Oh, well, Game Freak are milking the Pokemon dairy cow." But like the problems with the Pokemon, what the difference is with the Pokemon games, you can pick up a current gen game now. It's completely unrelated to the other games, other than of course there are Pokemon that existed in those generations that came out in those generations. But it doesn't matter. You can play Sword without playing Pearl or any of the previous ones. Assassin's Creed, I know you could probably say, "Oh, you can play independent." But
since they got finished with the Ezio trilogy, you can just jump in where the fuck you want.
But as one of these, like, I've got that completionist mindset. I need to go from the beginning. I can't just jump in and play this game. I know you've said to me, Paul, play Black Flag. That's a fantastic game, and I don't deny it. It looks good, but I'm not going to just jump in at that game when I know there's one second before. And I know you say, "Oh yeah, they're kind of contained," but it's not. It's all this.
The way you realistically want to split up Assassin's Creed is who you are playing with in modern day. That is the big change. You have the Desmond series, then you have the Unnamed Person, which was Unity and Syndicate. And
yes.
Flag. Yeah, those 3. Then when they did the shift to Origins to current, that's another new character. But they always have a way in game when you're in the modern day section to get all information from every other game. It all builds into the web, and then you can just find out.
So, fun fact for you guys on not an Assassin's Creed note. Sorry to bring it to you because I was just having a look. We're talking about milking cows and whatnot, right? I want to put into perspective.
Damn you, Miltank.
Yeah, exactly. There's that. I want to put something into perspective for you. Okay. So I'm just going to read off some numbers for you for some stuff, okay?
Yeah, let's get
so
some stats.
The Wizarding World, Harry Potter, has brought in as a franchise 33.06 billion. This is all in US dollars, this is. Cinematic Universe by Marvel, 38 billion. We know how successful all of this is, okay? Mario, 47.5 billion. Star Wars, 69.4 billion. And then there's a couple more. But more importantly, just remember the Mario 47.5, Nintendo's flagship, Pokémon, $118.5 billion. It is the most successful in terms of total revenue franchise worldwide.
Yeah.
You know, and we're talking against some series. Winnie the Pooh is fourth, which is surprising, but that's been around since 1924. So
Which
go figure. That's
Which, if you think about it, if you're talking from like an RPG game sense, if you're trying to break it down, Pokemon
Mhm.
is not the best in any of those. Nowhere
No,
near. No,
but as a franchise,
Yeah.
it's
it's
the best.
Like we
it's crazy.
go back to the start of the show, it's because it's not just the anime, it's not just the main core video games. It is the side games, it is all the merchandise, it is the Pokemon centers, it's the trading cards. Just the
Yeah,
money
but
from the trading cards, you know.
It's the marbles.
Yeah, Final Fantasy has figures, trading card games. There's been films, animes, and other content as well, and it's probably still not made nowhere near as much money.
No,
as
it's
Pokemon.
because Pokemon is and always will be targeted to children. And that's where money is.
Matt's gonna say something.
It is. No
Uh,
matter what one they release, it is basically targeted to children.
but this is the thing, and
Big
this is the
children.
thing. Yeah, big children. Yeah, I am a big child. I'm a curator of chaos. I've got several things, but the point being is, you know, I think Pokemon came out at an interesting time in all of our lives. I don't think the age difference between us lot is probably more than 5 years. I'm going to make an assumption without going into numbers, but like Pokemon came out when we were all kids. We've all grown with Pokemon, so that was originally targeted to children. But those people who fell in love with Pokemon are still very much in love with Pokemon because Pokemon does stand the test of time.
Yeah.
And it has done a lot of different innovative things. It's got different products. It's got different areas. You've got adults who are, 40 or so into the trading card game. You've got kids as young as 6. We've got a juniors league for the trading card game.
Yeah.
You've got people who are into the video game. It's across all areas. And what happens with Pokemon every generation, yes, it is still targeted towards children. You're excellent at retaining your previous fan base, but you're also generating new fans in the process. That takes a lot of things to do, a lot of skill to do. You look at something like Star Wars, for example. Okay, so Star Wars, it's no secret, is one of the biggest hits in the world. You've got people in the 70s who grew up on Star Wars from the original trilogy, who then we introduced a new era of fans using the prequels, who they loved the prequels, but all those old fans absolutely detested the prequels. And now we've had the same thing again recently with the sequels, where those younger fans are like, "Yeah, I'm into Star Wars now. Yeah, this is awesome." And then you've got everyone who just absolutely like, this isn't Star Wars. Pokemon has always been Pokemon.
Yeah.
The risk of sounding old, which I probably am going to do now, is that when we were in school, it was like when something became, well, they used the term viral, when something like really became popular and all the kids are playing it. It's because we had word of mouth, essentially. It was just games. You didn't have the internet to find what's popular. And so something that becomes really popular and remains popular for quite a while, and things like that in the 90s did, Furbies, for Christ's sake. But now, the way I can see it with youngsters now is that because you have the internet, and this, I wouldn't say it's a case of oversaturation. It's just that there's so many games now. You just look online and they're watching people on YouTube, and they're suggesting games as well that. Like what is popular, there could be multiple things popular at once, and that thing that might be popular 2 weeks ago, and then another game comes out, and then that's popular. It's so things are changing so quickly now that I don't think you will have a series like Pokemon again that's as popular as it was, because not everyone will just play one game set like that. And yeah, I can see because of that, when it comes with the new Pokemon games, yeah, they want to get people on board. Like younger kids to get into Pokemon, but will they have the same success that they did when we were children? I probably would say no. So they don't want to go shitting on the people that have now grown up and were once children when that series came out. You still want to kind of bring them in and have that appeal for them, but then obviously try to bring on new generations as well. But
Yeah, I'd agree partly, and I think actually you used a word in there, and you said I don't want to say it, oversaturated, but actually I think that's very much the word, and I think you're 100% correct. I think oversaturated is 100% the word. You look at the games industry, someone's actually just said in chat, funnily enough, lots of kids stick to free to play games. We've got Fortnite, Roblox, and everything else like that, but we have an oversaturation of games in the market, not just in terms of the sheer amount of games we've got on the market. I don't know about you guys, but my backlog's easily in the triple digits at the moment. But we look at games like targeted towards kids, there's too many.
Yeah.
Is kind of the bottom line. Pokemon at the time, we look at even just Nintendo games, you know me, I love Nintendo. We look at Nintendo games at the time. There was a division even within Nintendo between adult games and kid games. You had your Perfect Darks, your Golden Eyes, your Metroids. All this stuff that's kind of a more an older
Mature.
audience. Yeah, Zelda to some degree, I would say, isn't entirely marketed towards that kind of 7 and under market. Imagine playing Majora's Mask, because I did, and I never played Majora's Mask till I grew up because of it. But the point being, Nintendo had Mario, a couple of third-party games like Snowboard Kids, they had Kirby, but generally speaking, I think PlayStation had Crash, Croc, Spyro. I think
a few others.
A few others, maybe, but legitimately.
Gek and Tasmanian Tiger, and then there was a few others.
I came along PS2 era. I'm talking like that kind of when Pokemon came out, the market was nowhere near as heavy with things that were targeted towards that audience. Even if you do look at the wider Nintendo audience, I think that's kind of what made Pokemon a hit. Because the thing is, as well, even you see it in modern day Pokemon games. You've got the casual player. I'm more of a casual player for the video games these days. They'll go through, they'll collect their badges, they'll defeat the Elite Four, happy days. And then you've got your hardcore players who turn up to world championships. They spend hours grinding for IVs and EVs. Yeah. They'll go shiny hunting. Yeah.
They really cashed in on the they knew there was a market for because you got to think for the 90s, people were collecting pogs and shit like that. There was this hoarding mentality that
Pokemon
if we made
came out at the right time for merch, more merch.
Games at that time, especially handheld games, were quite linear, straightforward. You just go for these levels, complete a game. That's game. They wanted that kind of replay value. That you do the gyms, you do the Elite Four, but then you can complete the Pokedex, and there's other things to it as well. So that kind of hoarding mentality did add a lot of replay value to it.
Yeah, it's funny we're talking about kind of things as well targeted towards children. It's worth noting, I forgot to mention this, Mickey, by what, bloody Disney, 82.9 billion. It's not even close. And, the thing is, we're not even just exclusively talking about the video game sector here. We're talking about big blockbuster films, big blockbuster franchises, across several forms of media. It's an achievement, I've just noticed Dragon Ball's well down this list, which is disappointing.
Yeah, it's just saying again, Pokemon came out at the right time with the right strategy. We're going to release not one game, 2 games. Every release is going to be 2 games. Your friend will need to have one so you can complete the decks. It was a smart strategy because there's a reason now they sell the double packs, so you have both copies.
Yeah, I think it was, like you said, the timing was really good as well. Not so much from the hoarding side, but from the fact that back in the 90s, anime in the Western countries, in the UK especially, was almost unheard of because they didn't really try to. They thought that their cartoons wouldn't appeal to the Western market, and then it's just a really good timing for Pokemon to come out.
Pokemon's very, very much responsible for an anime boom in the West. I think.
Certainly.
And I would also say Digimon as well. To be honest, I know the thing is, this is very unpopular to say among Pokemon fans, but as a very, very non-biased opinion, it's very hard to mention Pokemon without Digimon. They have a lot of similarities.
A lot of rivalry back then.
There is a lot of rivalry. There still is, believe it or not, now. But Digimon can't keep up. Is kind of the bottom line. To be frank, I love Digimon. A lot of people did. You were either Pokemon or you were Digimon, and that's not entirely true. I was both.
It was so funny. It was so funny for me going into comprehensive or high school, as you call it. I came from Cumberland Primary, and that obviously Jack, that Paul is obviously knows as well, a friend of mine. He came from Riska, and Riska Primary School was very much a Digimon school. There was all Digimon. Kids were all playing Digimon. We were playing Pokemon. So year 7, that was a fight. There was a lot of clash there.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I don't feel like Digimon had anywhere near as the amount of success here in the West.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I think it was probably the way it was executed. To be honest,
it's also you have to keep in mind, with Pokemon, with the show, it's been continuous for decades now. Whereas Digimon series, they had a start and an end. Then he shifted. And that's
Yes,
part of it.
I
They
mean-
come and go way too much, so it wasn't in people's minds as constant. It didn't help that they, instead of porting the Japanese card game originally, which worked, it had clear instructions, clear rules. It's still played in Japan every now and then. They said, no, we'll make one exclusive for the West. That was confusing as hell, and no one bought it, no one played it.
No. However, the Digimon card game is actually making a resurgence at the moment. You got themed. Yeah, dude, legit. It's,
Look at the grin. Look at
the grin on Paul. The grin on
Matt,
the grin on.
you've just opened a can of worms here.
Yeah,
I wish you didn't.
The grin on Flynn's face, for those who can't see, was just something of, well, it was me opening Pokemon when I was 7. Legitimately, it's going through a massive renaissance at the moment.
He's trying to drag me into this. You go down to Cardiff for events as well, don't you?
Don't do it.
That big ass binder is just shiny crap.
I can't get into this discussion. I can't even judge you because legitimately, do you know how me and Beth are spending our first wedding anniversary, which is this weekend, funnily enough? Congrats. We're going to the Pokemon Silver Tempest pre-release event, followed by some other stuff. But we're gonna go and sample the new cards and everything, go play them. Anyone who's been to a pre-release knows how it goes. But I legitimately love Pokemon cards. I kind of fell out of the market for a while, but trading cards, for those who maybe are less informed because they're here for video games, are one of the most expensive hobbies that you can get into.
Pokemon,
it's a complete
especially.
I don't know if I'd agree with you especially, but it's up there. Yu-Gi-Oh! I think is more expensive, and so is Magic.
Magic's the worst. Magic uses proxies as official cards for a reason.
Yeah, you're talking about when people like hardcore players put an individual, they're buying or purchasing individual cards to put this perfect deck together. Yeah, Magic has, then followed by Yu-Gi-Oh. But then I think Digimon.
I've played a few of these, and Digimon has been the most pocket friendly card game I've played.
I've heard from a friend that it's definitely the most cost accessible. Like the thing I like about Pokemon, just to go back to the trading card game for a second, in terms of cost effectiveness, if you want to get together a competitive deck and go and play like in your locals, or you want to go to your regionals or whatever, you can get a Pokemon deck relatively cheap online these days, as is, for the simple reason, I can't remember who's in charge of Pokemon trading card room now. I don't think it's still Wizard, but they realized, okay, there's people selling these cards for 60-70 pounds a pop, they're scalping, this needs to be more accessible to kids and people with lower incomes, so they just mass produced and overprinted cards to bring those costs right down, which obviously does hit their bottom line, and I've got a lot of respect for that. I mean, to be fair, I will say, with what was it, 118 gross revenue billion, you can afford to do that. But I digress a tiny bit. I think the Digimon trading card game is highly accessible for anyone who is listening. I'm not getting into it though because I already have.
Do you know what's far more like what I'd say worse on the pocket than trading card games would be Warhammer.
Warhammer.
My God. Oh Jesus Christ!
Warhammer is a pocket sink for sure. I've got a friend who is massively into their Warhammer. They somehow managed to keep the cost down, but I think that's more because they're into painting minis than actually fighting armies, shall we say. There's two sides of the Warhammer Warhammer
universe,
the
hobby
painting
and there's the battles.
There's the taking out a mortgage,
how did he keep his overhead down? Did he have a 3D printer and printed them in
mean, you can make an army for the price of maybe an electric and gas bill in the UK. This was recorded in November 2022, by the way, just to clarify, for future listeners. But all jokes aside, Pokemon trading card game Saturday. It's gonna be a good time.
Oh, which one are you going to? Firestorm or?
I'm going to Geek Retreat.
Geek
Retreat just opened a place in my local town that I do not say out loud because I have a really unique name. But I digress. I think there's a full art Lugia in there that's predicted to be about 110. If I pull one of those, then that's it. I'm buying a box.
When I went to two pre-releases ago for Digimon, one of our main person who organises the events down there, they opened up 2 boxes of Pokemon and pulled a £350 card.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's
The most expensive card that you'll tend to pull for Digimon, because it's only really $2 city value for pulls, is 600 quid.
wow.
But that is
Wow,
because,
really?
yeah, that is because a card will be one per case. So 1 in 12 boxes. And like, it's not part of the main set, it's usually like a special alt art or whatever. But in terms of like a core card, our most expensive thing right now is a card called Death Xmon, which is going for 70 quid and climbing.
I mean,
and every single deck in the world is using it, which is annoying.
I don't know if it's the same for Digimon, but for me, like, there's a couple of cards with each Pokemon set that comes out that I get really excited for. They're never the expensive ones, funnily enough, but I always try and pull them instead of just buying it straight out. At the moment, I think my most sought after cards are the Alt Art Hidden Trainer art for Gengar from Lost Origin, and I think the Galarian Berserker card from also from Lost Origin. But I don't know if Digimon does the same. I'm not deep
Oh yeah, we
into
get
my
alt
knowledge.
arts and
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Digimon is a franchise I would very much like to see succeed, like here in the West a bit more. But I'll be honest with you, it kind of ties into our original point about oversaturation. I think that there is genuinely so much stuff on the market and so many other things to compete with these days that there's just nothing.
Paul's trying his best again with the Digimon and just
To get you out to the house on the Saturday.
Come play Pokemon. There you go. We can play a tug of war. See who wins.
So, just to bring it up, it is the alt art with the normal artwork. The alt art being
okay, yeah.
That one.
For those who can't see, I think that's a War Greymon, right?
Yeah, X antibody War Greymon.
Either way,
a bloody Pokemon podcast.
Look, okay, like as I said, it's impossible to talk
rivalry.
Yeah, we got to discuss both in this instance. I think Digimon probably dropped off of after Tamers, which was season 3, but the Pokemon anime is still going. And actually, funny story: the Pokemon anime quality has actually gone crazy good recently. So when Sun and Moon came out, they tried a new animation style. Ash is still
hated it so much.
I didn't like the new animation style for Sun and Moon, but I'll tell you what, I've been watching. I think it's Pokemon Journeys, which is Sword and Shields on Netflix. It's a slightly different animation style than Sun and Moon again, but generally speaking, it doesn't follow the traditional kind of, oh, okay, well, Ash is walking from this town to that town. Things actually happen. You know, the first episode, he bumps into a Lugia. You know,
why not?
yeah, exactly. Why not, right?
I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I keep popping into legendary and mythical Pokemon every 2 seconds.
Yeah, and also, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying about Pokemon appealing to all audiences. We also have stuff on Pokemon TV, which is the dedicated app, if you guys weren't aware, for watching Pokemon content. You've got this series called Poketoons, which focuses on a story of like, so for example, you've got a girl who gets, potential spoiler warning for this if you haven't watched it, so mute up maybe, but like, so you got a girl who gets like turned into a Gengar, for example, and then it's like, oh, but my friends, and then you make friends with all the ghost types, and it's like it's really creepy, actually. You've got another episode which is like Scraggy, but it's based in like the 30s, and it's drawn in the style of the old Mickey Mouse cartoons. It's awesome, and that's Poketoons. It is on Pokemon TV. I'd highly recommend it. I need to get up to date.
The last thing for Pokemon I watched and really enjoyed was when they did the special mini show about Red.
Oh, dude, that was Pokemon Origins?
Yeah,
dude, that was vicious. Yeah. Actually vicious. The scream that there is from Charmander when Squirtle gets bitten, that still rings in my ears, my guys. Like, that's horrible. And also, I really liked the callback to some of the games in terms of, oh, well, what's that hand behind you? You know, in terms of Lavender Town with the white hand, and it plays into kind of some of the creepypastas and stuff. For those of you who might not know, creepypasta is like a corner of the internet where you've got like creepy stories based on things like Ben Drowned from Majora's Mask. Go Google that. It's the most famous creepypasta there is. Or Jeff the Killer, I think, as well. But
it's that Russian sleep experiment one.
That is a creepypasta, yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, but you've got... It's just awesome. You know, and I think a lot of the good stuff for Pokemon comes from the fans as well. Yeah. Mods. Ironmon is taking over Twitch.
Yeah, the last thing I really watched for Twitch thing was during a Summer GD Games Done Quick. And it was a race between Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue. And watching the tech that had to go in for those routes, one started with a Squirtle, one started with a Charmander, if I remember. And I did not know until watching this race, you could skip gyms and go back to them in different orders. Like, Misty's gym was the 6th gym on the Charmander route. Just because it would have took too much time to level up to take on Misty as a Charmander.
Sabrina. Is it not Sabrina? No. Which one was the psychic?
That was Sabrina.
Yeah.
It is Sabrina. I completely skipped Sabrina. I was trying to I went back to Iridian, and obviously that would be Giovanni's gym. And
yeah, Sabrina's the easiest to miss.
I can do it. Yeah, so yeah,
it's possible. I think the thing you're talking about, Flynn, was a TAS. I think a tool assisted speedrun, right?
No, it was player against player.
Huh.
So I think the Squirtle won just because they had better RNG coming to the Elite Four.
Huh.
Came down to luck. It's worth to watch. I think it's a 6.5 hour race. But it was fantastic. It's just watching seeing how the two routes differ and match in places.
Pokemon has a really strong competitive community, both fan-made and set up by Nintendo, and Game Freak. Like, yeah, for the official stuff, you've got Trading Card Game, you've got Pokken, which I think this year was the last year Pokken was running. Yeah. Which Pokken's a great game. Cross between
I've
Pokemon
played the demo,
and
it was a fun little beat 'em up.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It makes me wish they use the animations more in the actual main games. Just like, give us cinematic fights. Don't have to do it for the trash, but in a boss battle against a gym leader or whatever, just give us, if I'm using Seismic Toss, let my Charizard pick up whatever it's fighting, go up in the air, show the moon, give me that scene from when it threw a Magmar back in the original show.
I'd love to see Jude use a Seismic Toss on like a Wailord. I'd want to see animation of that.
That's where the animation stuff becomes difficult while using actual scaling. To be honest, you got to take these things into consideration. How much would that actually detract from your immersion into the game? Going back to kind of the competitive scene. Obviously, as I said, we got Pokemon Unite, which is basically Pokemon League of Legends. Yeah, dude, 10-minute bursts. You've got competitive Pokemon Go fights, which I don't understand. But take it or leave it. It's up to you. And then you've
been a fuck ton of revenue for that company between the
Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go swept not just gamers, it swept everyone. Yeah. Literally everyone. The amount of money that game must have made, I don't know the number. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Silly. They have released market reports and stuff. But
Pokemon Go was so successful they decided to release a whole trading card set after and themed around Pokemon Go, which Pokemon don't tend to trust. Game Freak don't tend to trust third parties, as far as I understand, very much with Pokemon. Kind of the same as Nintendo trusting Rabbids to Ubisoft, but different conversation again. Yeah.
But let's try and get a little bit back on topic. We've discussed the side games a fair bit now. What ones have you played that stand out? Don't have to go into every single one you've played, but the ones that stand out to you.
Colosseum.
Oh yeah,
that's right. Yeah, Colosseum.
Colosseum was a full Gale, yeah.
Yeah, that's just obviously the Dark Pokemon, which is actually a theme that Pokemon Go uses, isn't there? Like you had the Dark Pokemon, you had Cat
for the rocket invasion stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it was such a because you got to think at the time. So like on the N64, you had Stadium, you had Snap. You had like these other side games. You had the trading card game on the Game Boy. So yeah, Colosseum. When I picked that up, it was like it didn't feel like Pokemon. It felt like playing a role playing game, like a totally different role playing game.
Yeah, and it was tough as bloody nails.
Oh yeah, really tough. Yeah, but I thoroughly enjoyed Colosseum. That one's probably the one that still stands out to me. I wish I did get to play Gale of Darkness. I've never played it.
That's a shame.
Yeah, I never got around to Gale.
Oh, really, guys? That's such a shame. So, Pokemon Colosseum was a time. I think it's what everyone kind of wanted as a follow-up to Pokemon. What they wanted Pokemon Stadium to be, besides a battle simulator.
For me,
at the
it was
time.
like, this is what Pokemon should be now. Like,
Yes.
I was an advocate for years. Yeah, it's a mobile game, but put it on the main console. I want it on my TV.
Like, the thing is, Pokemon Colosseum, for anyone who hasn't played, just a very brief kind of where my standing is, which I don't believe my opinion means anything, just to clarify, other than being like a hyper fan for Pokemon.
Yeah.
But
Go nuts.
Colosseum was fantastic. And it did, in my opinion, everything right. I can't think of anything in that game in particular that really, really grinded my gears. XD basically took that, gave it even better narrative. It was a longer journey, more Pokemon, and the narrative was actually interesting, and it had a much darker theme as well. I don't want to talk about the theme too much. I know it's weird putting spoiler warnings on something from 15 odd years ago, but if you guys legitimately haven't played it, I do think, and I don't
If there's
advocate
anything you want to
for.
mention, feel free.
I'm just gonna say I don't advocate for like pet dolphins at all. But like legitimately, if you can train pet dolphins to play Pokemon, if you're getting my drift, then I genuinely would consider. Even today. That's all
I
I'll
keep getting
say.
tempted and I just forget.
So,
Yeah.
so when we were saying about which games, like side games, stand out for you, did I pretty much like answer everybody else's there?
No, for me, it's Arceus.
Oh
Yeah,
Like,
no,
I chucked a bunch of hours into it, stopped playing for a bit just because I was playing other stuff, lent it to Ash for ages, recently got it back. It's the first Pokemon game that I just don't want to finish. I'm too busy doing my Pokedex.
they've added another feature of like replayability that game where like Pokemon kind of bought in the you can just do the main story and do these battles, but you can collect these Pokemon. And then of course Shinies came out, and then that is like an onto that. But then of course the Pokedex now is no longer just you've caught one of this Pokemon, you have this Pokemon now in your Pokedex. It's now you need to set these certain criteria to kind of complete the overall Pokedex for said Pokemon. You have to see this ability a number of times, and yeah, that's another feature they've added to the game that kind of adds more replay to it.
Pokemon Arceus got a lot of shit when it came out. Quite frankly, for in my opinion, some valid reasons. Once again, going to get burnt at the stake, but draw distance, texture quality.
Yeah, it had its issues, but part of that is the hardware. Part of it is also the company not knowing how to optimize on said hardware, which is a recurring theme across the industry at this point.
I would agree and disagree. You look at games like Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Exactly. There's someone who knows how to optimize on the hardware.
One of the studios know how to optimize.
But Xenoblade also crashes the Switch at the same time.
I would also say, even look at Breath of the Wild, to be honest, which was a launch game. So I agree and disagree. However, the one thing I can't argue with Arceus is, or Arceus, I don't actually know how that's pronounced.
I've always pronounced it with K.
It's like I call it Asperger's, you know, it's incorrect because I refuse to call it Asperger's.
Yeah, no, I've got you, dude. I've got you. But like, legit, they nailed the gameplay loop.
Yeah.
They brought an interesting array of Pokemon. They gave new forms to existing Pokemon. Alpha Pokemon hunts were a treat. I remember bumping. Dude, honestly, I can't remember if it came out this year. I feel like it came out this year, but it could be my game of the year if it did. Legitimately running into an Alpha Snorlax for the first time.
I was going to say, was it the Snorlax?
I bricked it, and actually it wasn't even the Snorlax, which was the first occasion. You're in that little tutorial area, and you go off to the left, and then like there's this Rapidash. Oh my god, a Rapidash already? Oh my god, like what the hell? And then it turns around as you're sneaking in the grass because you're like, yeah, I'm gonna be a sneaky little shit now. Sneak up behind it, gonna catch it, and it turns around, notices you, and its eyes just red glance at you, and you're like, this isn't fucking Dark Souls, my guy. Like, holy shit.
I was like, I'll throw a Pokemon. I'll throw a Pokeball. Oh shit, it's angry. I'm in a fight. My Pokemon's dead. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was January this year, by the way, man.
I had a moment of me running around in circles like a headless chicken. Is when you're in an area game and it goes, a Time Vortex has appeared, and it just appears right on top of you. And just on the high level when
The-
started figuring, you're like, oh shit.
there were so many little
Just throw all the
touches in
Pokeballs
Arceus.
before they see me.
There's so many little touches in Arceus, and I really hope they keep. I hope they've learned a lot, because
yeah.
the little touches that were phenomenal for me, although we had these texture issues and stuff, the Pokemon generally had more personality out in the overworld, and even in battles. We were talking about this Rapidash, right? So I send out a Pokemon because it's bloody turned on me, and it's it's a measly little Cyndaquil at this point, and because I went Cyndaquil because Cyndaquil's Bay, and Hisuian Typhlosion is phenomenal. But anyway, I digress. So absolutely claps my cheeks, and then literally as it's there and I'm deciding as the player what Pokemon to send out next or whether I'm going to run or something, it just turns and looks at me and gives me daggers as I'm deciding. And I'm just like, ooh, like that's terrifying, and Alpha Pokemon had so much presence in that game.
Yeah, it was also cool that the Pokemon would attack you, because you could feel, right, this is a raw world. This isn't where Pokemon are like, oh, we don't attack humans anymore. It is, oh shit, I'm getting fire blasted at. I need to dodge. I need to do a dive roll out of the way.
It's when you start picking up the certain Pokemon, like you don't have them in your party, but the ones so you can like travel around the areas.
Right Pokemon.
Right Pokemon, and then eventually when you don't fly, you technically glide in there, but like when you glide in and you're looking over this map, I'm thinking, Pokemon has come a long way. Like we've always said that they need to be a bit more, but they promised that with Sword and Shield, and kind of got it. But I feel like they overpromised a bit there, especially when they were kind of showing it off before the game released.
I agree.
Yeah, but then Arceus is like, they've got they hit the nail on the head there, and they need to continue that in, especially with Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, Arceus is the epitome of a Pokemon game aimed at the people who grew up with Pokemon. It breaks the formula and treats it as a more mature style.
The only complaint I had about that game, and I mean the only complaint, was, without going into too many spoilers, because I know there's still some people playing it in my chat, was that final boss fight absolute bullshit. Just gonna say it. And those who've played, those who've played know exactly what I mean. It was absolute bullshit. That's my only complaint. Okay.
Bullshit, and it's lackluster. Because
no, it's difficult. It's actually difficult, and on some cases, I felt slightly unfair. That final boss fight, once again, without going into spoiler territory, very much played out like a bloody Dark Souls fight. I'm just there rolling, literally, just non-stop, just rolling, waiting, and that's all I'm gonna say. Because I don't want to spoil it for people who are still playing it. I'm looking forward to actually seeing. So Beth just finished her masters. She's got Pokemon Arceus to come still, and I'm looking forward to seeing her reaction for that. But I hope that we'll probably talk about this in a bit. But I hope with Scarlet and Violet they've kept a lot of the good things that they put in for Arceus. Arceus was probably the best side game, and
before I bring it fully over to you to say yours, I will say for Arceus specifically, it's the first Pokemon game I do not feel a rush to finish. It has always been, right, let's get to Elite Four, let's finish that, then I can do the Pokedex. That's the way I've always done Pokemon. With this, I'm in the playground. It is my GTA style. I'm just exploring, I'm getting up, I'm doing my requests, I'm completing the decks for my Pokemon, I'm losing my shit after time because it's like, I can't find you because you're a random enemy that falls out of a tree, so I need to use this one attack, and I've used it 100 times, and I'm not researched 10 yet. How dare you? But it is. And you're saying each Pokemon has their own AI. A certain little fungal infected crustacean. Those things, when you got something seriously way over leveled in your party, and they still wanted to charge you down across the map. It's silly. Those things are vicious.
I think Arceus for me, just to kind of give you an idea of where I ended up with it, I finished the Pokedex. And this is the wonderful thing about the game, I think, as well. I didn't finish every single task in the Pokedex. Yeah. I'll still log in from time to time. I think I last logged in about a month and a bit ago to do some shiny hunts, and also just be like, yeah, I'll tick this off my research book. Why not? I'm here. And I think because of the way it's designed, it's kind of like got that draw to come back. Shiny hunts are handled very differently in Arceus, if you're not aware.
Yeah, we'll
No,
keep
no,
that
no.
down low.
Yeah, we'll keep it quiet for now. I would recommend getting on with it though, boys, because Skull and Violet's gonna come up pretty
Ash
soon.
has
But
finished it, like I said, before he returned it. And
I
I'm just
haven't
not in a
finished
rush to finish it
Pokédex,
yet. I'm
yeah.
just playing it. I'm just going through it, building my
I'd love
team
to go
up
back
as
to
well.
it. Yeah.
So, Matt, what is your side game that stands out a bit for you?
they all stand out, to be honest, for different reasons. I've played, as you can imagine, I've played all of them. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to think if there's any I haven't.
So you got your mystery dungeons, you got your Snap, you got
Dude, they're all so good. Like to give a brief synopsis, like I loved Pokemon Snap because of how simple it was. It was an on-rail shooter and it was hella fun. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon stands out for me for two reasons. Dungeon crawling, chillax times, building a party and whatnot, and the art style and music. Music's nothing really to go on, but the art style was great.
I don't know if this is gonna jog your memory for this one as well. Lil, it's not necessarily a side game, but does anyone remember? Did everyone have a copy of this on their PC?
Pokemon Project Studio. I did not.
I did not.
That is an unlock though. I know that exists. So
That is like a Windows 98. It was like Windows Paint, so you can like make birthday cards and whatnot. Well, I'd say that it was like a Microsoft publisher where you can make birthday cards and stuff. You can make certificates and add Pokemon stickers to it and everything and all that. I'm just so I was just thinking then, and I had to Google it quickly, and I found it on eBay for $1.99.
Hey.
really, holy heck! Like, I think there was a lot of stuff like that at the time. Like, I'm still looking on eBay, by the way, for this Soul Silver, like at a reasonable price. I might just have to ask a friend if I could borrow it because it's so expensive. Or wait till Christmas. We'll find out. But like, bottom line is, Pokemon Pinball stands out to me because new mechanics. Also a sucker for the Pokemon trading card game.
Don't know Mewtwo map.
No, the Mewtwo map. I don't know if I ever finished Pokemon Pinball, but dude, what else? I was just saying, Pokemon trading card game on the Game Boy Color had a banging soundtrack. Same.
Yeah. You're speaking of the dolphins, but it was also the visuals. And that was on my phone for a while, and that was me. When I used to go to uni, I used to just chuck down my phone on the way to uni and have a few games.
So it's absolutely no secret that like I actually detest mobile gaming. Okay, I mean like actual mobile gaming. Farmvilles and stuff like that. I don't even know if Farmville's still about actually, but different conversation again. One of my standout. Oh my god, I can't believe I said. One of my standout games that I have fondest memories of is Pokemon Shuffle. It's very much like Bejeweled. It had a fun free-to-play system. You very, very rarely ran out of lives. Me and Beth went through, I think it was 2 years of trying to keep up with each other on that game. And that's a fond memory for me for its own kind of thing. Pokemon Shuffle was great. I think in terms of spin-off games, I have to probably...
Mystery Dungeon? No one's mentioned Mystery Dungeon.
I've mentioned Mystery Dungeon, and it's up there. Spin-off game for me, I think it has to go to XD Gale of Darkness out of respect more than anything. Yeah. And if it wasn't that, it would be Arceus, like without a shadow of a doubt. Arceus was handled so well, and I'm going to be really upset if we don't get like a Pokemon Legends Johto or some shit down the line, to be honest.
We've been waiting for the sequel to Let's Go at this point, and yeah, I want a sequel to this. It was, without going into the spoilers, the association between the land and Arceus was a really cool little tidbit.
Yeah.
Oh, what's that bloody called?
I've just messaged my friend. Like, have you got a copy of Soul Silver?
Let me do it now.
a free, because usually I'm the same. Where I agree with you with the whole mobile game thing there, Matt. Because like, especially because if it's a free game, it's like they have a load of that kind of gacha kind of stuck into it and a lot of paywall stuff. But Pokemon Quest, that was a game that just picked up. and I completed. I managed to
Yeah.
get through it. I got really into it. I was like,
I
really...
didn't end up completing it, but me and you, who was chucking stuff on the TV, and me and you were just both on our switches. Just
I was determined to get through that. Yeah, I enjoyed Pokemon Quest.
yeah, that was more fun than it had any right to be. To be fair,
Yeah, it was very limited. It was very basic, but I just felt like going back to it, and eventually got through it. Matt's not agreeing.
Pokemon Quest, I think I played an hour or two. It was alright. It didn't really grab me, to be honest. Oh, dude, Pokemon Unite, I do want to give a special shout out to. A lot of people it's a free to play mobile. It's not really a mobile game because it's on Switch, so it doesn't count. Okay,
it's a
but
MOBA.
Pokemon, yeah, Pokemon
If you
Unite
like your
has a special
MOBAs,
place.
it works. It's functional.
Yeah, it has a place for me. Like in terms of, sometimes I just want to put on some lo-fi and beat the shit out of, I don't know, a Snorlax as a Pikachu, in a literal sense. Or I don't know. It's got a good time. Once again, it's an interesting situation where Nintendo kind of let someone go and have creative control with their IP, and it worked out quite well, in my opinion. But yeah, for me, I set on the XD Gale of Darkness. I think a close runner-up would probably be the OG Mystery Dungeon. I played it on DS, but they done a remake of that. Actually, it's the DX version. I've got it on Switch. I haven't finished it yet, but I would recommend it if you haven't played it. It's just chill vibes, man.
I
It's
played
just
the
chill.
original donkeys years ago.
Yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
all I've
think
really
at
got to
this
say on
point
spin-offs.
we can start looking towards 15 days from the time of recording into the future.
Yeah, dude.
Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, it might be worth
Arceus,
mentioning.
yeah, we will say there might be spoilers here. Only
Yeah.
based on the trailers and stuff, there's not enough information to really go in depth with a lot of it. But just a warning for everyone. But Arceus has soured my expectation a lot. Because I know it's not going to play like Arceus. It's going to go sort of like the old style loop. They've shown that, yeah, we're not having certain things that are staples in the old stuff happen in the same way. But it's going to have an Elite Four. It's going to have a Pokemon League.
Yeah.
And it's still going to feel like an old loop, but I'm hoping that when I get my hands on it, I'll feel different than I do just watching the trailers.
Yeah, so spoiler chat means I'm muting for a bit. Yeah, please. I appreciate that. Sorry, replying to chat, but some people, and this was an interesting conversation. The reason why I think I'll bring this up: some people really like to play Pokemon from the perspective of seeing Pokemon for the first time in their playthroughs. And I think there's a sense of wonder and magic for that. I think that one thing that's going to be really hype for those people, hopefully they have had enough warning and muted up now. Something that's going to be really hype for those people is they don't realize what's to come if they've avoided trailers and whatnot. So we actually don't have just a regular Pokemon League this time. We have a Pokemon League along with what seems to be a treasure hunt mystery as part of it. And then there's also the third one, which is, I can't remember. Holy heck. My brain's gone.
Giant Pokemon thing.
Yeah, there's 3 different story paths and 3 different, one of them's Pokemon League and there's 2 mysteries and stuff to solve, which is...
I wonder if they are just going to be side stories alongside the main.
Well, the way that they've kind of marketed it so far...
They've done that sort of marketing before, but it always boils down to you still need to be a battler, and that's how you're going to get through the game.
Yeah, and you've also got there's a couple of things I'll bring up actually about that later. I'll skip that for now, because I was about to go on a tangent about something. But I think generally with Scarlet and Violet, you can see. I saw a screenshot earlier from when they announced it 3 months ago to today. You can see they've put a lot of more work into environments, textures, draw distance, and everything else. So there's that. They seem to have put a lot of work in. There still seems to be some graphical fidelity issues. That will remain, but that's down to the hardware. Which goes back to what we said on the podcast last time I was here. Actually, I think this is going to kind of be a test to how much faith I have in Tears of the Kingdom having capability to run without crashes on the Switch. To be honest, I know they've got the help of Monolith, but that even they can only do so much, right? But it seems like they've taken some of the criticism that they got from Arceus with graphics and really put their all into fixing some of that stuff. What's fascinating this time around, we've had the starters, and I think 3 other Pokemon, one of which is an evolution of Giraffic, and 2 are brand new. I think we've had 3 new Pokemon, properly 4 actually, because of Fido, announced.
Yeah, the dog.
Other than that, oh, and the legendaries as well. Yeah. Actually, we compared to previous entries at this point in build up to release, we have very little Pokemon, which
revealed,
is an interesting strategy, actually.
There was one reveal that made me and Ash laugh like little kids.
Was this the murder?
No, this is the Wiglet.
Oh, dude, like that doesn't count. There was a debate about this in my chat the other day. It definitely doesn't count. Definitely doesn't count for me. We'll see what the Pokedex entry says, but I'm telling you, man, that's a regional variant. It's got to be. The one that really made me laugh was the ghost dog. I can't remember what it's called now. Grieve.
Oh, I couldn't tell. That's one of the newer trailers I didn't get around to watching.
You make sure you do, because it's fucking.
I'm at the point now. I've seen enough. I've viewed enough that I just need to get hands on with the game more than anything else.
Yeah.
I think gutted they didn't do a demo this time. I'm
not. I don't think it's necessary. I think that it's Pokemon. You know what you're going to get. The demo was necessary, I think, for Brilliant Diamond, Shine, and Pearl, because it's a remake, and people were very skeptical to begin with. I think that demo helped with a lot of sales.
It also helped that the demo sometimes tied in to give you an anime exclusive variant and stuff. So with Sun and Moon, you had Ash's Greninja, which actually is exclusive form. Then the Ultra Sun and Moon, you had Ash's Dawn Lycanroc.
Do you think
that was a cool way to get exclusive stuff?
The reason why they had the demo for Diamond Pearl is from the fact that wasn't that the first game where Game Freak had no involvement whatsoever? Yeah. There have been other IPs where Game Freak haven't been the main developers, but they still had some creative control over it. This one is the one they've just left, so the team who took it over kind of knew like they had some boots to fill there, and they didn't want to kind of screw it up. So I can see why they released that demo to kind of test the water and see what fixes they need to make.
Yeah, like I think that was very much the case. Plus, people were very skeptical about the art style and a few other bits. I think the demo ultimately helped with sales, but with Scarlet and Violet, their main entries, they're brand new games. There's some level of expectation, and also some level of what you're going to get. I don't think that there's anything in the trailers that would suggest to me we need a demo. It's not information you couldn't find online currently. We already know the new main mechanic is, I always butcher this, but the terrestrializing. Bloody. That there's got to be an abbreviation for that on the cards eventually, because otherwise I'm going to struggle. But that's a really cool concept for me. That's really going to shake up the competitive scene, because you don't know what type that's going to be.
16 different variants of each.
I think so. Yeah. So you could have a Charizard that becomes a water type, hypothetically.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know until it's come out and it's terrestrialized, and it's like, oh shit, I can't prepare for this.
Yeah.
That in a sense is kind of cool. I think something I'm a bit kind of on the fence about at the moment, the playable character art style. Customization options look great as always, but I think the art style for the faces and whatnot's a bit strange for me. It's not usual Pokemon sense, and I don't know if that's to try and lend itself to the world more or not. But Pokemon has always had a really cartoony feel for their NPCs and whatnot, and it kind of looks like they've gone a bit more realistic this time.
What kind of country theme do you think they're borrowing? So Sword and Shield were very British, weren't they?
I read about this earlier, and I can't remember Scarlet Violet which country. Because each Pokemon game is based off of a country or region of Japan.
I think it's going to be something like Italian, maybe.
Inspired by Mediterranean Spain.
Ah, there you go.
So yeah, we'll see. You know, it's going to be a good time. The sandwich choice is an interesting one. Pokemon always
Yeah, I
introduce
was
these
saying
new.
this, Smash. Those sandwiches should have been in Sword and Shield if you're representing the UK. We eat more sandwiches than we do curry, to be fair.
Yeah, no, that's true. I thought it was a bit of a weird choice. You know, nothing like a chip batty or
I
whatnot.
don't know. I'm a sod for Madras curry. So
Yeah, but do you
I'm
go
okay with
out
this.
on a picnic and make a curry?
I would.
My wife probably
Look,
would.
Indian food is ingrained in British society now.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, and it is excellent. I mean, around where I live, it's kind of hit and miss, to be honest. But like generally speaking, you can't beat a good chicken tikka bolty. But I digress. I also love sandwiches, right? You know, nothing like a good peanut butter and chocolate spread sandwich, right?
That does not sound like a British sandwich.
I was more I was more jesting, you know. That's where I was. But yeah, there's I find it very interesting though. Basically, that firstly we haven't seen many new Pokemon. I'm quite interested to see if people are gonna be pissed off if Dexit is a thing. That was a big thing around Sword and Shield for those who aren't aware, and it was a case of where the hell is my national Dex? Why is it incomplete? Firstly, we don't know how many new Pokemon.
Yeah.
There's
To
going
be
to be.
fair, they did have limitations. Like we're building all
Yeah.
of these Pokemon again from scratch. Models mainly. They swapped engines. It had to be rebuilt.
Did they though?
They're using this excuse again.
Dude, yeah. So it was. Unfortunately, I do remember someone got the models from Sun and Moon and the models from Sword and Shield, exact same polygon count, exact same everything else. But it's a different conversation entirely. What's interesting to me at the moment is, regardless of whether it was new models or not, I've got the most unpopular opinion of Dex. It should have probably happened the generation before. Now, and hear me out. I love all Pokemon. Generally speaking, except Klefki, because it's Klefki. But that's no secret that I hate Klefki. I love all Pokemon, but I think there comes a point where, as fun as the national Dex can be to complete, we're going to be, I think, easily breaking the 1,000 Pokemon mark by the time the full Dex has been revealed. And whether it's going to be new Pokemon or variations, it doesn't matter. You know, we're going to be breaking that, and I think the concept of catch them all is fun to a point. You know, and
It's different now. I was trying to remember them all.
Yeah, no, legit, dude. Like legit. I had Pokemon. As I said earlier, I played Pokemon Sword and Shield through I think 2 months ago now. You know, I came up against Pokemon. I was like, oh my god, what the hell is this? This is awesome. It's like, Smatt, that's a Gen 6 Pokemon. Oh, all right, okay, cool. Oh my god, what's that? Oh, you know, it was never anything. It was mostly Sun and Moon stuff, to be fair, which I haven't played. But there was a couple of Gen 5s in there too, dude. But like,
Yeah, we
I think
are at 905 thanks to Arceus.
yes, if we don't get another 95 Pokemon, I'd be quite surprised. I'm expecting a minimum of 80-ish new Pokemon because that's the general kind of ballpark that we've been used to. But I don't think that this whole catch 'em all thing works when you get to a certain number in a fun capacity. And secondly, I think that you're extremely naive if you think it's going to be that way forever, and you think that you can have longevity of a series. You know, I think this is the first time in a base Dex that we've had Venonat since I think it was Gen 1.
Think of it as well.
Gen 2, sorry.
Yeah, Gen 2 added a lot of the Gen 1 because you're back in Kanto.
They are starting to scrape the bottom of the barrel of like good names or good character designs for certain Pokemon. Like some of the Pokemon designs are just the more recent generations are awful.
I'm going to disagree. I'm going to disagree, and this once again is the most unpopular opinion against non-Pokemon fans. Actually, to be honest,
you did see the fossil Pokemon from Sword and Shield, right? You did see those monstrosities.
I know what they are. I've seen them since, but I haven't collected them. I know what they are. Yes.
Are you telling me those are the designs?
Hear me out. Like, let me get to my point, right? So, there was a lot of shit that got thrown about Trubbish and Garbodor at the time. Literally a bag of rubbish. Okay,
Boss
cool.
back. Come on now.
You know, that was ages ago. But like, hear me out. I was the same. I jumped on this bandwagon. But a Pokemon is so much more than what is on the outside. Hear me out. You know, you've got personality and charm from animations. You've got Pokedex entries for lore. You've got interactions with other players throughout the story. You know, so sure, Klefki, as much as I hate the little uninspired piece of shit, does have its own. Oh yeah, but you know, he goes off finding keys and steals them for a lol. You know, it's like I can't believe I said that like a Gen Zer, but you know, like legitimately. Okay, Klefki's the exception to my rule. I have no redeeming qualities for Klefki. I'm sorry. Like, but the point being is, there's a Pokemon. Everyone's got their own favorite Pokemon. I had a friend who's like Grubbin. I think was their favorite Pokemon, and when they told me, I was like, "The fuck's a Grubbin?" And I remember just like Grubbin. Holy shit! Yeah, no, legit, dude, legit. It was Grubbin, and I was just like, you know what? Actually, I can see it now. At the time when I played the games, I was like, nah. But you know, through cards, through cards, not just the video games, through interactions.
When McDonald's were doing the Pokemon cards, I've seen a lot of this one. Okay.
Yeah. So, you know, I think every Pokemon has its redeeming quality, and the reason why I also want to disagree is I've been very impressed. Bar one thing, I've been very impressed with what we've had for Scarlet and Violet so far. There's genuinely been no Pokemon that I dislike.
This was Gen 2, and I think this one was flagged up as crap, wasn't it?
Dunsparce? You can't. No, don't be chatting shit about Dunsparce. Christ. Like, honestly, my boy is just a bit slow, all right? Like, leave him be. Like, back to what I was saying. The only dumb design choice I've seen so far is having the legendary have fucking wheels but run on all fours. Like,
What
I like
were they smoking, man?
I know, dude. I know.
That is
Legitimately, my main
worry.
gripe.
Go on. That's my biggest worry about
It
this
makes
game. Is
sense.
you're gonna have the legendary at the start of the game. That's how it feels. Because it's your right Pokemon.
Same...
It has to be so fucking early.
It'll be the same though. It'll be the same as all other Pokemon. Where
Well, Sword and Shield
wasn't...
was separate because your legendary was post game instead of on the way to the Elite Four.
Yeah, but what I mean is you know, you're gonna have other legendaries in the game.
But
yes, they're the flagship legendary. Yeah, they're your flagship legendaries, sure. But you know, I talk about Gen 2, right? Lugia and Ho-Oh are fucking iconic. Right?
Oh, wait a minute.
Entei, Suicune, and fucking Raikou are equally as iconic.
Yeah, the legendary dogs, yeah.
I was going to say, maybe you get him at the start of the game, you ride around on him like a bike, but then it's end game content. Do you actually get to use them as a Pokemon in battle?
Yeah.
Possibly.
We've made this bond, now we must fight.
Now I can use my legs.
Point I was trying to make, and I didn't really wrap up properly a minute ago, I suppose, is that a Pokemon's design is more than just how it's drawn.
Yeah.
You know, you've got personality through animation, you've got personality through the Pokedex, you got personality through the bloody trading card game. I didn't actually fall in love properly with Mimikyu until I'd seen this short on Poketoons, which was incredible. And there's something else I saw to do with Mimikyu as well. But before that, I was like, who the fuck just gets this, like, whatever it is, and fucking puts a fake Pikachu mask on it and is like, ha, it's a Pokemon. And now it's like one of my favorite Pokemon. It's in my like top 5 favorite Pokemon of all time because of the personality that's been conveyed through other methods.
Is it because it's depressed and just wants to be a Pikachu?
No. Like it's got a cheeky. Yeah, he's got a cheeky persona. You know, it's the way he interacts with other Pokemon. It's the fact that he's completely messed up, and if you see under that hood, you're going to the fucking shadow realm.
And I believe,
and I don't mean
his involvement is the only time Team Rocket has ever beaten Ash.
Yeah, like there's a lot of redeeming qualities. You know, there was I remember playing Sword and Shield through Corviknight, I think it is. Corviknight is the bird Pokemon, the standard bird Pokemon from day one. I was like, it's alright, kind of boring. And then I watched Pokemon Journeys. I was like, Corviknight's fucking badass. Jesus, you know. What I'm saying is more than just don't. It's that age-old thing of don't judge a book by its cover, right? You know.
Yeah. You did bring me back to something I forgot to mention earlier, which I was saying Pokemon's very much child-friendly. Then you start reading Pokedex entries.
Oh yeah, drowsy.
That goes insanely dark. Wasn't there the ghost Pokemon with the light the candle. Lipstick.
Chandelier.
Yeah, one of
Litwick.
those they used to light to lure children away to kill them.
Yeah, and then you've got Driftblim and Driftloon. So I think it's Driftloon is shaped like a balloon. I think we're done with spoiler stuff now, aren't we? So,
Yeah.
But yeah. I'll just let everyone know. Spoilers done. There you go. But I think it's Driftloon that's in their Pokedex entry. It's designed like a balloon with little hands, so that essentially children are tempted to grab onto it so it can float away with them.
Yeah.
You've got Hypno, who literally takes children. He's literally Jimmy Savile. You know,
Which is great, really, because if you when you say that, look at that character design, he does look like someone would show up in in the newspaper, and you look at it and go, yeah, that's a child snatcher.
yeah.
While we're on this, I am quickly looking up the darkest Pokemon entries.
Darkrai is pretty up there. I think just to wrap up, I think we're done with Scarlet and Violet discussion now. But I think this is a fun segment to talk about. I think that talking about absolute fucked up Pokedex entries is a real fun place to go because there's so many. And that's what I kind of mean. On face value, they're these cute little pocket monsters who appeal to children. But when you go into it, like
it's messed up. Kadabra
Yeah.
is a child that turned into a Pokemon.
Correct. Like, what else is there? I think Darkrai is like invades people's dreams and like murders them or some shit. I can't remember now. I need to get this up.
Imagine living in they make like the anime makes the world of Pokemon look fantastic, and like these trainers having a great time. Like if all these Pokemon have all these really shady abilities, it must be terrifying living in this world with Pokemon.
Oh yeah,
One of the things they don't mention outright is
humans
they
are being murdered
eat
left, right, center.
Pokemon. That is their food. They eat Pokemon. But there's one that just come up. I knew this one, but the most messed up entry. Can you remember Spoink?
I remember Spoink. If it stops bouncing, it dies.
Yeah, it has to bounce to keep its heart rate. You knock that thing out in battle, you've just killed it. You've just murdered that Spoink, taken it out of your party. It is dead. There's no reviving it.
Yeah. You've got a Rakwadid here. It delivers headbutts with the water bubble on its head. Small Pokemon get sucked into the bubble where they drown. Like that was one of the most recent ones. You got Banette. It's a stuffed toy that was thrown away and became possessed, ever searching for the one that threw it away so it can exact its revenge.
Yeah, it's messed up.
Beware. Beware is one of the cutest Pokemon you can think. It's a fighting type. This Pokemon has the habit. I read this Pokedex entry on stream actually, and I just been like, okay then. This Pokemon has the habit of hugging its companions. Many trainers have left this world after their spines were squashed by its hug. And then there's obviously Cubone. Cubone's just sad. Wearing the skull of its deceased mother.
Yeah, that's everyone forgot about that one. That's Gen 1, and that's
yeah.
Right, the last one for this, Gorgeist. This is its entry from Pokemon Y. It enwraps its prey in its ear like arms. It sings joyfully as it observes the suffering of its prey.
I've got one that's worse. I think I've got one that's worse. Frostlass. When it finds humans or Pokemon it likes, it freezes them and takes them to its chilly den, where they become decorations.
Yeah, it's dark.
I mean, Madame Tussauds will put out business. I'm telling you now.
Yeah,
but
going quickly back to the Pokemon Digimon debate. Digimon, as a show, matures over time. It does, especially if you follow the original cast. They grow up and everything over time. The latest game survived. That is so freaking dark as a story. I won't go into spoilers, but I was like, holy crap, at so many points. It's like, this game is brutally dark. What the fuck am I playing? Then you go, Pokemon, it's cheery. Then you read the Pokedex and you go, shit. It is
legit.
It's that Mission Incredible meme, isn't it? People who know and the people who don't know.
Yeah. I don't think Pokemon needs to grow up, though. I really don't. I think Pokemon...
It's doing the Simpsons route. It's the forever young type thing.
Ooh,
Ash Ketchum does that perfectly, yep.
Anime-wise,
he has still not had a birthday.
Anime-wise, it's definitely following the Simpsons route. But I think the Simpsons is a good look at what happens if you drag something on too long.
if Pokemon was actually, if it did actually have like time lapse to it, at one point Ash should surely turn around to Pikachu and be like, why do I still have you in my main party? Just get in your bloody ball and sod off and
Because
get
that Pikachu has anime
friendship.
protagonist bullshit attached.
No, it's the power of friendship, guys. You're so naive.
No, it's
honestly.
anime protagonist bullshit.
No, it's the power of friendship. You know, like when you're playing Final Fantasy 14. Like the other day, actually, I booted it up again. I was just like, oh, Fantasia, that looks appealing. Oh, but Kiri, my best friend.
Yeah, we was having this chat, wasn't we?
the love of my life.
I could
I can't
swap
do
to
this.
a different race, but I can't.
Yeah, it's like Ash just looks like every other Pokemon, and it's just like Pikachu go Birdo, so, and what would he do? Give it to Team Rocket? What's going to happen then?
No, come on. Pikachu is bullshit when it has a moveset of more than 4 moves.
I mean, most Pokemon generally in the anime get told, like, dodge it using this attack, and it's like, oh, fuck off. The anime, it's anime bullshit.
Yeah,
It
that
is
one
anime
change
bullshit.
I would love to see in the games now is having a bigger moveset. Like, you've been playing Persona, you get, 8 different skills now?
Disagree.
I like the Arceus ability to actually take. So you have the 4 attacks, but you can take them in and out.
You don't have to permanently lose a skill. Yeah,
that is the future. That is the future.
yeah, that's probably what it's going to end up being. But I would love to just see more variety in the battle.
I can't see how they would leave that feature out with Scarlet and Violet because it feels like a massive step back otherwise.
I like the agile and strong style stuff as well. That was awesome.
But that'll just be for Arceus.
Do you know what that reminded me of? Have you ever played Bravely Default?
No, but it's on my list.
Obviously the battle system is called Bravely Default. Bravely, you can actually stack up your attacks and pull off 4 attacks in consecutive attacks, but you leave yourself open to then the enemy actually attacking you. And then you got Default, where you can defend for 2 or 3 rounds, and then that just means after you defended, you can attack multiple times. So the agile and strong with the Arceus is similar to the Bravely Default. You would you use the agile one. It's like you sacrifice attack damage to get an attack up quicker, or you do the strong one, which obviously sacrifices your next turn, so you're opening yourself up to 2 attacks, but you're pulling off an even stronger attack. I do like that feature. That's really brilliant. Again, if that's something that's left out, that feels like
I like that I was also kicked into ability mastery. The more you use the skill, the strictly speaking, stronger you get to allow you to unlock the styles. That is something that I would also like to see happen. Like, the more you use a move, the stronger you could potentially get.
Yeah, we don't know what's entirely happening still with Scarlet and Violet, but I think it will be a time either way.
Yeah. There was one thing I did want to mention for Scarlet and Violet. So, spoilers again. I'll put my hand down when the spoiler's over. Holy crap, it took him forever to stop having NPCs look at you and battle you. Holy crap, what a change.
I mean, we'll see how that plays out. I reckon there's a catch.
It reminds me of that Pokemon meme where it shows that the person who's done all the end games got super strong Pokemon, and they've walked past a trainer that they missed at the start of the game, and they throw a Caterpie, and then it just shows just nuclear fallout.
I think poor Pikachu. I think that there's going to be a catch with that, but we'll see. The Scarlet and Violet thing, all I really have left to say is there's 15 days, and we still know so little about it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
They're taking the 14 approach of not overshowing their hand, which is nice.
Did a data mine? Was it a leak? And they actually had some of the Pokedex that got leaked of Sword and Shield before that.
That was Sword and Shield, yeah. And that was a sad time. I remember people being annoyed.
And spoilers done again.
Oh, spoilers done. Yeah, cool.
I brought my hand down now. We're back off Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, I stopped paying attention to your hand for a moment. I was just so taken aback with the idea of trainers not, But anyway, spoilers. 15 days, guys. Anyway, I've put my pre-order in. It's coming. I've got a double pack for me and Beth. It's gonna be a time.
Are you streaming day one?
No. So I've actually chosen to play this at my own pace and enjoy it. I enjoyed playing Pokemon Sword and Shield on stream, but I'm telling you, it was one of the hardest games I've had to stream because then it was a case of, okay, well, stream's over now. I still want to heck and play.
Yeah.
And then I had to wait until next stream, and I don't want to be doing that. And it also gives room for spoilers and stuff for me, and that's not fun. So I've said maybe we'll come back and do some shiny hunting, but I think Pokemon games generally are best served off stream. There'll be someone out there who enjoys the opposite side of it, but not me. I'm good.
Yeah, there's always people who don't get the time to play the games and then they enjoy watching.
If you were curious, by the way, what we are streaming next is Monster Hunter Sunbreak. We're starting up the Monster Hunter DLC, so it's just like that's another game that's another conversation for a different time off of the podcast, I think. But it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, one of our buddies who's going to be joining us for the God of War show, Zephyr, he is a huge Monster Hunter fan.
Nice. Look forward to that.
So yeah, I think this is a natural conclusion to the show. So, Smatt, you're saying Monster Hunter coming up. Anything else in the meantime?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a clever name for it, but we're going to be finishing Luigi's Mansion 3, but after Monster Hunter Sunbreak from December, probably through to mid-January, we're having Platformer December. If you can think of a better name, please at me on Twitter. But basically, we're going to be playing through things such as Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Sonic Adventure 2, possibly Celeste, Hat in Time, some Mario potentially as well. It'll be a good time. I haven't finished the list, but the first 3 I mentioned, I play every single Christmas except Banjo-Tooie. I haven't finished it yet. I'm really sorry. But I love Banjo, so I have to do it this year. This year is the year, So
sub incentive for a subathon. That's what you need. Force you to get through it.
Subathons, man. Streaming for more than like 4 hours at a time is really exhausting. I've got some friends. I have Misuki recently. She did a 12-hour stream, and she was like dead for like 2-3 days after it. I'm just like, I can't do that for that long.
Yeah,
And
I've seen some people
throat.
do some silly ones. Rich Campbell, if you know of him, he's part of ODK Aspen Gold sort of network.
Right, yeah.
He was doing an Ultimate Fight in Final Fantasy 14, and he lived in somebody's closet for 2 weeks until our
That's
fight went
crazy.
down. Literally lived in the closet. The stream was live for 24 hours a day during the entire time.
I think I saw a stream go for 18 days at most, and that was X Water doing a subathon beginning of the year. I saw a moistathon. Has to be said. No.
Yeah, nuts.
What a word. Moist.
So, in terms of our show, it's probably going to be Halo or LARP up next. Just need to solidify details on both of those shows. Not sure if you said you was tempted by the Halo show, Matt?
Tempted, but unfortunately life's a bit busy, so I'll have to get back to you.
Yeah, no. We'll let you know when we got a rough date. If you can finagle, we'd love to get you back on. Have more of us just rock out to a bit of Blow Me Away from Halo 2. And
Damn straight.
Yeah, so want to let everyone know where they can find you, and we'll wrap up the show.
Yeah, sure. You can find me on Twitch Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, except this Saturday. Over at Smatt Plays, I do Nintendo variety streaming, and I've been dabbling in some like Dark Souls and other things recently. We've got a nice chill community. Got a Discord server as well, and you can find me over on Twitter, at Smatt Plays. Just go have a look, go have a nose. I'm the guy in the Pikachu hat, and look forward to maybe seeing you.
Yeah. As for Ash and myself, you'll find us here for our next show. And on December 13th, I will be streaming Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion when it goes live. And that should be a time. So until next time, look after yourselves, throw us a follow, give us a like on YouTube if you're watching us late, and we'll see you in the next one.